under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the purpose of this meeting is to hear from the teachers about their safety and security concerns at KMS. There's no public comment tonight. In open session, we will be, as I said, listening to the teachers' concerns. The teachers union is going to give a presentation to all of us. And then there will be a handful of teachers also speaking with us as part of that presentation. When that is done, we will go into executive session to discuss and address those safety and security concerns. Then we will come back out into open session to hopefully report on the fact that progress has been made. Thank you. So I think Michelle De Silva is going to begin.
You can hear me? Yes. Okay. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody who came out tonight. I want to introduce myself. My name is Michelle De Silva. I am the Bristol Warren Education Association co-president. I also teach here at Vivian Middle School. I teach 7th grade math. I've been here at the middle school. This is my 21st year here at KMS. And 23 years teaching in the district. Right now, I'm just going to make a few very brief statements, and then you'll have an opportunity to hear from all of the teachers that have prepared statements for you to hear tonight so that you can learn everything that is on our minds. So, first of all, thank you for meeting with the KMS staff so that we can address the concerns, needs, and ideas for solutions from those of us that face the specific challenges that we've been highlighting over the past week. We would like you to understand that this has been a growing problem over the past 3 years, and one that we've been actively trying to solve over the past year and a half, if not more. We hope that you understand that teachers truly only have the very best interest of all Chickadee Middle School students at the very heart of all of this. It's imperative that you understand that we are crying out for your help to spotlight the real issues that need your attention. Thank you in advance for listening and hearing as all of the teachers share with you what has been happening from our point of view, what we deal with on a daily basis, and our ideas for these solutions to these obstacles that prevent us from having the very best, well-organized and disciplined learning environment for every single student that walks into Kikanute Middle School. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Labonte, and I'm a music teacher at KMS. I also have 2 children in the school system, one now in KMS. I wouldn't want my children anywhere else, except lately. Lately, I have witnessed and heard enough issues and incidents that make me question my thinking. My husband and I have wrestled with this question: is this school safe enough for our daughter? Ultimately, I believe the school has so many intelligent, compassionate teachers and robust academics that we would be cheating our child to send her somewhere else. And these issues and incidents I see, they can be fixed, and they must be fixed. I am so tired of seeing all children not getting the education they deserve. Now that many of you were surprised not only by our union action, but also at our message, what to believe. Maybe your child doesn't talk about what's happening here at home. It's not because they don't notice. Our students are very smart. Perhaps you have a child like mine, who's very insulated in her world of 7th grade friends, her fun team of teachers, her activities. Life is good. Some kind of fun. Or maybe your child is not exactly a talker. How is school? Good. Anything exciting happened today? No. Do you have any homework? Nothing. Middle school children, by nature, are still in the midst of brain development. They can be very self-centered. They also become very loyal to their friends at this age, and tattling, that's a big no. Or maybe your child has been telling you what's been going on here, but you know your child. Maybe they're coloring the truth due to other circumstances. Or maybe they're afraid, or maybe they're giving you all the details, not giving you all the details because you'll just make a big deal out of it. Or maybe they're afraid if they say too much, they'll get in trouble, or they'll get you in trouble. Folks, I'm not here because it's easy. It's no picnic standing here in front of my bosses with a large spotlight now shining on our school saying things need to change and I feel you need to really listen to us more than you have been. It would have been easier for me to stay quiet. You see, right now, my child who's in 7th grade has not been traumatically affected by events that have taken place in the school. But she could be, just as easily as some have been. She's been indirectly affected by lost instructional time and even just great things that we should be doing for our students as a community. Tonight, you'll hear solutions presented by teachers that will allow us to educate all and make those children feel safe and valued. And it will cost money. But what kind of community do we want Bristol Warren to look like in 10 years, 20 years, when these children are adults? This is not just a school issue. This is a community issue. And it can't go as unresolved or tabled or, well, let's wait and see. These children have waited enough. They need strong voices. They need your voices. The measures that are being taken at KMS right now are not working. And they're not working because the behavior of the children, particularly the ones in most need, their behavior is not changing. The very definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I don't accept that this is the best that we can do. I don't teach mediocrity or good enough in my classroom, and I don't accept it from anyone else. Now, I truly don't believe that anyone who works for Bristol Warren Regional School District is a bad person or a bad apple. But I will speak up for children every time. Parents, members of the school committee, everyone, tonight, listen to your teachers. Listen to your children. They need your help. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Donna Stauber, and I've been teaching here at Kickamulet Middle School for about 25 years. We've been talking a lot about the discipline issues, but that's only part of the problem that we are having. Our district goal should be to do what is right for children always. But that's not what we're doing right now. It is shameful how we treat some of our special ed students in this district. We have students that cannot count by ones, being put in general ed classroom with zero special ed support, with no one there to help them, except the one teacher who has 20 other children to work with as well. That is not okay. That is not fair to that child, and that is not fair to the teacher to put that on the child, to put that on the teacher. We have been told that to have special ed support in the form of even a TA, a teacher's assistant, is a luxury. And it's not something that is a right for our children, it's a luxury. And one we can't afford right now. The district feels they're not obligated to provide this support for our children. And I ask you, how fair is that? How fair is it to that child who's sitting in a classroom and has no idea what's going on around them? They don't understand what's going on around them. Some of these kids end up being the ones we are talking about tonight. Some of those kids end up being significant discipline issues. These kids have suffered serious trauma. They have serious trauma needs, full-time trauma needs, that we are not addressing. Teachers are not capable of providing trauma care for these students. That's not our job. That's not what we are trained to do. We're trained to get them to the help that they need. And we can do that, but that help isn't there. And our students are suffering for it. I have been told by more than one parent recently that they had no idea their child was exited from special ed and no longer had an IEP. I have been told by parents that they were told that their child would be better off on a 504 plan instead of an IEP. It feels as though this district is taking parents who may not be savvy about the special ed system, and they are denying their children the rights that they deserve and the support that they need. It is my hope that we can begin to work together so that we can get back to doing what's right for our children. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Daniello. I'm a parent of 3 students in the Bristol-Warren District, and I am a special educator at KMS. I've been teaching here for 18 years, and I've been teaching students with disabilities for 20. 2.5 years ago, I started conversations with the building administration at the time and the special ed coordinator regarding concerns I had about 6th grade students on my caseload with challenging behaviors. I was extremely concerned where my typical accommodations to establish relationships with students and ultimately change behavior did not work. I implemented behavior plans, conducted morning meetings instead of homeroom, gave them each daily schedules to possibly reduce anxiety, created reset stations in all of the classrooms, even in the specials, just to name a few. Yes, the district did provide nonviolent CPI training, which is crisis prevention intervention training for the whole special ed department, and it did help, but it was not enough. In December 2016, I had a formal meeting with Leslie Anderson, Jared Vance, principal at the time, and Christine Holman to discuss possible solutions to help these students successfully move through their day without incident. The response was to keep doing what I was doing. I felt completely overwhelmed, sickened, and defeated. I never felt unsafe with my students. I want to be clear about that. But I was in constant protective mode, protecting them from being embarrassed and protecting the other students from witnessing such intense behaviors when I was, it's called extinction, so when you're stopping it. So this was extremely stressful. For the next year and a half, there were a lot of meetings with parents and administration, new behavior plans and new accommodations that barely worked, and even functional behavior analyses were conducted. But this leads me to a possible solution, all right? And I brought it to Mario's attention a few times. It's an alternative classroom. Inclusion-based, with the ability to provide small group or one-to-one instruction, and another classroom with a special educator. Okay, this would help lessen anxiety for the student and give he or she a safe place to reset and do their work with a certified teacher. Not a guidance counselor, not a school psychologist, not a social worker, a certified teacher. I've spoken to other special educators in Rhode Island, specifically in Barrington, who teach in such programs. At Barrington Middle School, they have 2 alternative classes with 2 special educators, 3 TAs, and 2 one-on-ones. To help support students when they re-enter the general ed setting, so it's a fluid system. They're not completely excluded, but they have the ability to go into another classroom, again, where they can reset and possibly get their work done. As one special educator said, the TAs are an integral part of their program. Teacher referrals would also play an important part in assigning entry. I'm not going to get into that, but that is another piece to this plan. So this leads me to my next point, which is personnel at KMS. KMS has lost a special ed position, or had lost a special ed position 3 years ago. And the number of TAs supporting students in the inclusion setting has diminished severely over the course of 3 years. We now have 2 PCAs in the 6th grade. They are not technically TAs for the students with learning disabilities that need to be supported in an inclusion setting. They do once in a while when they get a chance. It's not appropriate. Assisting students, so they assist students with physical disabilities. We have 1 part-time TA in 7th grade for 15 students with IEPs and 1 special educator. We have 2 part-time TAs in 8th grade for 3 teachers, so 3 caseloads. TAs were assigned at the beginning of this school year, leaving students without support. When concerns for those students were brought to administration's attention by countless emails, several meetings, they stated, again, just like Mrs. Stauer said, the TAs are a luxury. It was infuriating to hear that. This is absolutely not the case. They play a very important part to the success of these students with disabilities in the general education setting. A very important part. And I feel like personally, I've been made to feel that I shouldn't think that way. That it's up to the general education teacher to modify and accommodate, absolutely. I 100% agree. But some of those students with IEPs that are in the inclusion setting they need intensive intervention, and they have a severe learning disability. So they need more attention than the general education teacher can provide. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Emily McCaffrey. I am a 7th grade language arts teacher here at KMS. This is my 8th year here. Previously, I taught elsewhere in Rhode Island. I like teaching here. A mistake. This issue of student safety and socio-emotional health is one that spans over several of my years here at KMS. Our school is currently serving more as a triage than a place to grow. We need no more Band-Aids, but instead active measures for all students. We need students who are accessible to learn the academics, not just the social and emotional components of middle school. This might mean alternative learning environments, on-site mental and emotional supports, and more support professionals, as Mrs. Daniela just spoke about, ready to help those in need. In other words, adult to pupil ratios matter. We need consistent, transparent consequences for disruptive and disrespectful behavior. If those needs or those behaviors are not addressed, we are prolonging those issues. We need the ability and time to celebrate our students who continue to work hard and act respectfully to their peers and their teachers. They have been overshadowed for far too long. Teachers here aren't looking to make their own lives better. That's not why we're here tonight. We're in the business of children. We are here solely to better the lives of our students. We aim to produce civic-minded, enduring learners who are confident to conquer life after middle school. Should we choose not to strive for such improvements, we are not only hurting those individual adolescents, we are failing to better the communities of Bristol and of Warren, our state, and ultimately our nation. I'd like to end with the official KMS mission statement per our school website. Our mission, in partnership with our learning community, is to nurture lifelong learners in a safe environment where students are empowered with the knowledge and skills to be successful in our increasingly complex world. I copied that directly from the website. This is the very reason we're all gathered here today, to ensure that our mission be fulfilled. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mary Arsenault. I teach science in the 7th grade, and I am very thankful to have the opportunity to have my voice heard here today. 2 years ago, when I was teaching in 6th grade, a student got in 2 fights the first week of school and received 0 consequences. In the absence of appropriate disciplinary action, this student's behavior escalated and became more frequent. His abusive behavior towards other students and adults continued for 2 years until he was recently removed from the school for an alleged illegal action. Another student fist bumped multiple kids with a push pin between his fingers, resulting in puncture wounds and forcing many parents to bring their children to seek medical care. Parents, rightfully enraged, forced the administration to move him off that team to mine, where his behaviors began to influence the students there. Disruptive behaviors escalated on my team more and more, and those students that sit on the fence of whether or not to get on the, bad side, good side, started to kind of falter along. I started hearing other grossly inappropriate behaviors towards other students and teachers on other teams. Most were physical in nature, some sexual, and some racist. In some instances, innocent bystanders were injured. There have been 3 physical assaults on teachers this year, one landing a teacher in the hospital. As recently as 2 weeks ago, I comforted a teacher who was in tears. She had just been assaulted by a student who shoved papers in her face in a fit of anger in the hallway. I understood her tears more than you know, because last year I was in a situation where a student, according to his own mother, was treating me as his father treats her. Despite my emails, calls, meetings with administration, this child continued to treat me terribly and would hijack his science class almost every time he walked in my door, if he decided to walk into my door at all. I tried everything: positive reinforcement, ignoring behaviors, restorative practices. Nothing worked. He literally stole from me and stole many educational opportunities from the students in his classroom. Andre and I have 2 young daughters, one who will be here in a year and a half. She's very small and petite, and the other who will enter KMS with the current 2nd graders. At our meeting on June 25th last year, when we all met together to talk to Mario, the district's current 2nd grade was identified by the superintendent as the worst behaved in the district. This sounds like a crisis in need of more intervention than is being given. Friends ask me all the time what I think of KMS. I think you can get through without incident. If your child has made it through without being in a class where their education was being hijacked, then I'm very happy for you and your child. I have had the pleasure of teaching some classes with no disruptions. I personally don't want to leave my daughter's educations to chance. I am asking for more clear regulations and consequences for all students. I am requesting programs for students who are behaviorally or emotionally unavailable to learn. No matter who you are or what your circumstances or issues are, you should be held to the same standards just as in the real world. I am asking for an administration that puts all of our kids first and supplies appropriate personnel to make sure this school is a great place to learn and a great place to teach. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Pat Filipino. I teach 8th grade science on the Trailblazer team. I'm also the science curriculum coordinator for the building. I've been a teacher in the district for 15 years, 14 of them here at Kickamuit. I've had the privilege of teaching 2 grade levels, 6th and 8th. I wouldn't trade 8th for anything. I want to thank everybody for giving us the opportunity today to come and hear our concerns. I wish to focus on mental health issues. According to the data from the National Alliance on Mental Health, and this is dated June of 2014, 11% of youth today have mood disorders, 10% have behavioral and conduct disorders, 8% have anxiety disorders. Mental illnesses have many causes ranging from genetics, abuse, drugs, alcoholism, and family situations beyond a child's control. So how does this look at KMS using the national average and with KMS having approximately 753 students? If you do the math, it breaks down this way. This means 83 students out of the total population have a mood disorder. 75 students out of the total population have a behavioral or conduct disorder. 60 students out of the total population have an anxiety disorder. This is a total of 218 students out of 753, or 28% of our population having mental illness diagnosed or undiagnosed. So what do we have here at Kickamuit to support these students at this time? We have 1 guidance counselor per grade level, 1 school psychologist for the entire school, 1 social worker for the entire school. If you do the math, it works out to 1.3 adults who are qualified for each grade level, of which 73 students are dealing with a mental illness. So what does this mean for our classroom and on our teams? If there are 218 students suffering from the aforementioned building-wide, then there are about 73 students per grade level, which means there are approximately 24 students per team. This is only on team. This doesn't include specialists, where the mixes can be far greater. There are 4 classes per team that are core classes, so the breakdown comes down to 6 students per class. That's an average of 25% of your classroom. So while teachers are handling the various behaviors that students display who have these issues, such as yelling out, disrupting learning, talking to other students, hitting or poking the other students, walking out of class without permission, hanging out in the hallways, not wanting to come into class, or waiting for an administrator who's probably busy with another student waiting for them to come and get them. While this is all going on, there's a remaining 18 students in the classroom not being taught. It can range from minutes, and when I mean it's 1 to 2, to sometimes 10 or 15, depending on the severity going on at the building at the time. This results in missed learning and ultimately low test scores. So solutions: additional mental health support for all students afflicted with mental illness issues. And this is to be delivered by people who are trained and certified in the area for this developmental age bracket. As we all are aware, middle school students are a unique bunch of people. Alternate classrooms with qualified and trained teachers who specialize in teaching students with mental illnesses. Have time during the day for sessions to support students' mental health issue needs. It's nice that the parents have the medical coverage, but a lot of them don't, and therefore they don't get what they deserve. Have both of the above provide, teach, and model strategies for students to cope with their difficulties. Re-enter them into the mainstream classroom once they are able to handle the rigor of learning and are available to learn, because that's one of the biggest problems. With all the mental health issues, they're not available to learn. This is a major issue which has been in the making for years, not just here in Bristol Warren, but nationwide. As the federal government continues to cut funds to states, the reduction of funds has hit the local level. The results are evident in the data. We're asking for the programs and personnel necessary to provide an environment for all students to learn, those who have a mental illness and those who do not. Let's talk. Let's listen. Let's together work to come up with a solution that will work and be supported. Thank you very much for your time.
Good evening. My name is Christina Ferrara. I am a 7th grade math teacher here at the middle school. I've been teaching here for 16 years. I have strong ties to this community. I grew up in Bristol and Warren. All my family still lives here. My niece and nephew will be coming through the system soon, and I want this to be a place that I'm proud to have them attend. Just a couple of things that I want to bring up is that I have experienced Kickamuit Middle School at its finest. We were a place that everyone wanted to be. And we have lost so much since then. We have lost an ALP program to support students with emotional disabilities. It was staffed with trained teachers and support staff. In addition to that ALP program, we had a behavior program for students who had other types of needs or behaviors, where they were not available to learn and taking away the learning of other children. They were available to go back once they were ready. I'm sorry. These students in these programs had access to the curriculum. They were not just placed there to get out of the regular classroom. They had access to the curriculum and the support that they needed. They had access to that curriculum provided to them by the trained teachers in those classrooms and what we had at the time, grade team leaders. Those grade team leaders were content specialists. They were in charge of content in those programs and in the regular classroom. We lost those grade team leaders in addition to that ALP program, in addition to those behavior programs. Those grade team leaders also provided discipline support to the administration. That's all gone. The problem is, as our programs and resources have been slashed, our problems have not gone away. The needs of our students have increased. The results that I see day in and day out in my 16 years here is that there have been more physical altercations in the past 3 to 4 years than my previous 13 years combined. I think I may have seen one physical altercation in my first 13 years here. And it's starting to become an issue. Restorative justice in practice is a viable solution for 95% of our students. It is not for 100% of our students. We need an implementation plan that is going to work, if that's the route we are going to implement. Like, if that's what we're going to do, we need a plan. We need everyone on board. The places and school districts where restorative practice is successful, those school districts, such as Central Falls, have what they call conference facilitators. It is not the administration. The administration is in charge of learning and teaching in this building, which they are not able to do because they are dealing with the behaviors. The teachers are begging you for help. I'm begging you for help. Bring back the programs that worked. Bristol Warren prides itself on being innovative. Let's not just be innovative with the calendar. Let's be innovative in other ways. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Erin Welchman. I'm a school nurse here at Kickapoo Middle School. I've been a school nurse for 17 years in Rhode Island, 11 years in this district, and 3 years at Kickapoo Middle School. The concerns here at KMS are not new and not specific to Bristol Warren. It's not about politics or sides. It is about our children, and that's why I'm here. Here's what I know. Anxiety, depression, behavior problems, ADHD, eating disorders are on the rise, with more than 50% untreated. And most of these conditions coexist. As a part of the Rhode Island Certified School Nurse Teacher Organization, I have heard and shared the same concerns across the state with my peers. There is an increased incidence at middle school level due to where they are developmentally. I see KMS administrators and staff doing their very best every day to assist the numerous children in distress or in crisis with the resources we have, but it is not enough. Often we lack the staff for the number of students needing help. These students at times walk out of the classroom, roaming the halls, hide in the bathrooms, go to the guidance office, main office, or the nurse's office until someone is free to help them. Often they're escalating and it's getting worse by the minute. These sometimes unattended students may be a harm to themselves and others. Mentally, they are not in a good place, and it's a very unhealthy and unsafe situation. KMS students would greatly benefit from additional guidance staff, behavior specialists, and social workers to address the daily concerns of all our adolescent students at KMS. These students are in a very difficult stage of development and struggle with self-esteem and identity issues every day. I see students falling through the cracks that could benefit from the support of a guidance counselor or social worker, but we lack the manpower to assist them. KMS students would greatly benefit from having an alternative learning classroom for students not available to learn in a traditional classroom, students struggling with mental health concerns due to trauma or other causes that cannot be left behind. They need a place where they can heal, learn, grow in a therapeutic way that works for them. Resources, services, positive interactions, and experiences will lead to positive self-esteem and developing their identity, making for success in high school and good choices along the way. The high school nurse has shared with me concerns about students not emotionally ready when they get there. School is a major part of a student's day, week, life. Anxiety, depression, behavior problems, and other mental health concerns don't take a day off. We must address all of the needs of our students. We care for students with diabetes, asthma, seizure disorders. Regardless of how many students have these disorders, and regardless of how often they have an exacerbation of their symptoms. Mental health problems and exacerbations of their symptoms should not be any different. We can't leave these children behind. Increased staff and resources equals money. Unfortunately, the funding of public education and the future of America is a dysfunctional process that falls on the backs of our community members, requiring our elected officials to make difficult decisions. Don't let the increasing mental health needs and safety of our students become a victim of budget cuts. It needs to be at the top of our priority list. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Andre Arsenault. I've been a music teacher and choral director here at KMS for the last 10 years. I'm a Bristol resident, taxpayer, and proud parent of 2 students at Terrace. I was the seventh grade of the first year of Kikamute Middle School open, and I'm a Mount Hope High School graduate. I'm very invested in this community and care deeply about our schools. It is for these reasons that I stand before you tonight. There's a very small percentage of students here at KMS whose social and emotional needs cannot be met with the resources we currently have available. There's a very large percentage of students here at KMS whose education is being robbed because of the time and attention of administration, teachers, and guidance counselors is being monopolized by this very small percentage of students. Quite frankly, these students are not getting the services they need, and neither is anybody else. Because of my schedule as a music teacher, I have a unique opportunity to teach almost every student every year. I can tell you that there are more students every year who have so many social and emotional issues that cannot be addressed by our classroom teachers. These classroom teachers have a class full of other students who are actually ready to learn and also need and deserve attention. Whether it is due to trauma, abuse, neglect, or something else, we cannot give the students the time and attention they need and also give the rest of our class the education they deserve. Restorative justice will not work for these students who have no regard or respect for teachers, administration, and their fellow students. These kids need something else. The biggest problem is, whether we like it or not, these kids are leaders. They are influencers, they are revered, and they are followed. These kids are role models, and they are dragging so many others down with them. Because this is not being addressed, they are ruining education for so many. However, all is not lost, not by a long shot. If we address this issue, you will see amazing teachers who are able to engage their classes with meaningful educational opportunities. If we address this issue, the students who are struggling will have more attention paid to them and will finally have the opportunity to achieve more. Average students will begin to achieve at an above average level. Our top kids will have the opportunities to reach new heights. If we address this issue, our test scores across the board will rise. If we address this issue, you will see less teacher burnout, less sick days, and an improvement in teacher morale. If we address this issue, KMS will have a better reputation in our towns and in our state. Fewer supportive parents who are seeking a safe and meaningful education for their kids will send them to private schools. They will want to send them right here. If we address this issue, I will be happy to send my kids here, and I will be happy to tell everyone who asks, KMS is an amazing school, I teach there, and my kids are receiving an excellent education, and yours will too. Thank you.
7th year teaching and my 3rd year here at Kickmeal. I would like to start by giving you an idea of how some of our most vulnerable students enter our school every day. Think about your worst day. Think about that day where you couldn't focus, you were distracted, stressed, upset, and then think that's your everyday. That's your baseline. That's how many of our students are entering our classroom every day. So they don't know what to do when they experience those good emotions, and they definitely don't know what to do when things get tough. Let me just give you 3 incidences that have happened in the past month that have interfered or interrupted the learning of other students and or the students themselves. So in the middle of class, trying to teach science, I had students who want to talk about situations where they've witnessed domestic violence as a child, just bringing that up in the middle of class. Trying to teach about atoms, molecules, cells, but if you have that on your mind, how can you expect a student to attend to that stuff when they are thinking about the things that are coming up for them at home? I had another student who wanted to bring up the fact that their parent is in jail. It weighs on them. They can't focus on what I'm trying to teach because they want to talk to somebody. They want to talk to somebody so bad they're willing to bring it up in front of 25 other students. The 3rd example I'm going to give is, I haven't seen a student for 3 weeks. The student has been in the building, as far as I know, but is so distraught about the issues they're dealing with, they can't make it to class every day. I don't know where they're going. They're not in my class, but I see on the attendance that they're here. So we need more mental health support. These students, they want to talk to somebody. They want to deal with their issues. Some are even begging for counseling, begging us for counseling. Counselors and programs with a highly trained staff is really important, not just throwing something together. We need people who know what they're doing. An ALP program that includes behavioral and an emotional component is a must. Currently, we're just understaffed with these mental health professionals. The guidance department is working tirelessly to support our children, but the numbers aren't in their favor. We have over 200 students per grade. We have 1 guidance counselor per grade. We have 1 school psychologist for over 600 students and 1 social worker for over 600 students. They give their hearts and souls and try to meet as many students as they can, but 1 to 600, I mean, you wouldn't give 1 teacher for 600 students. You wouldn't allow even 1 teacher for 200 students. The mental health support, the guidance, the counselors, they're becoming just as important as regular ed teachers in order for some of these students to make it through the day or to get them to the point where they actually can learn and pay attention. I worry for these students. I want to help them. I want to talk to them. I want to give them my time. I have students who sometimes even try to come to my room from other classes to talk to me. But I can't not teach. I like teaching. I love science. Kids know how passionate I am about it. I tell them how much I love it. I want to teach them that. I want to inspire them. I want to give them that. But I can't. I can't when I have somebody interrupting with that kind of heavy information. And I don't want to silence them. I want to give them the opportunity to speak, but that's not the time or the place. So then they have to leave my class, which means then they're not learning. They're falling behind. Then they get angry because they're behind and they can't catch up. So I urge you to please consider the mental health aspect just as much as the behavioral aspect. It's just as important. Thank you.
Hello. If some of you don't know me, my name is Jeff Grifka. I'm the lead teacher here for social studies at KMS. I come here not only as a teacher, but as a parent of 2 children in the Bristol-Warren Regional School District. Know that my interests are vested in the simple fact that this is a community where I grew up and I still call it my home. I have been teaching for a number of years in a couple of school districts and feel we are on the cusp of a crisis that many districts throughout our country has been facing. How do we meet the social, emotional needs of our students we impact each day? Too often over the past few years, I have seen students act out in ways that disrupt the academic environment for all students. Some of these instances are very concerning. The frustrating part is that I feel that much of the attention in this building is focused on the negative acts. Our administration team and teachers are so focused on these behavioral issues that our brightest students are being overlooked. We need to champion our students' accomplishments more often. There are so many great things happening in this building. We need some sort of alternative program here that will give some of our kids the resources they need for them to be successful. What we have in place right now is not working. It is our job as parents, teachers, and administrators to come together to make this happen. I want my children to be able to come here knowing that this is a rich academic environment that will give them a foundation that they can reflect on in years to come. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for taking the time this evening to listen to members of the KMS community. My name is Jennifer Saarinen. I am currently in my 14th year as a passionate, invested, and innovative educator at Kickamill Middle School. I'm a former BWEA local president and was recognized as Teacher of the Year for both Kickamill and the district this past year. For much of my career, I was a member of a 2-year looping team teaching math and science. This year, I've moved into a new role, teaching a class entitled Inquiring Minds, meaning I'm now a specialist and I see 2/3 of the student body each year. Despite having a classroom culture of student voice and choice in place, I have had more incidents of blatant disrespect and non-compliance than I have had in any previous year. Unfortunately, for some students, witnessing their peers act in this manner has become just another day, just another Inquiring Minds class at KMS, rather than an isolated incident. In an effort to stay solution-focused to the concerns that are now well known among our community and beyond, I have 3 suggestions. Number 1, reduce class size. I see my students every other day for 45 minutes. With 26 students in most of my classes, it is not feasible to have a meaningful check-in with each one of them. A meaningful check-in would allow for me to better support my students in my class and also be able to guide them to another adult who is in our building when they might be in crisis. If there were fewer students in each class, I believe teachers would be able to better address not only the academic needs, but also the social emotional needs of our students. Number 2, add a support professional to each team. A support professional who has a background in adolescent psychology and childhood trauma. These professionals would be able to assist in the classroom as well as provide pull-out support to individuals in need, allowing for a more positive and calm classroom environment to be consistently maintained. Number 3, one size does not fit all. We need to design and implement an alternative educational program that is flexible, providing academic support and therapeutic interventions for students with short-term attainable goals. The program would teach them appropriate skills and strategies for self-management, responsible decision-making through opportunities of guided self-reflection with a trained professional. Placement in this program would not not necessarily be permanent, but we must recognize that students would need additional support when being reacclimated into our larger school community. Noting that each one of my suggestions will in fact require additional funding or reallocation of the funds we have, I implore each of you to take these considerations seriously rather than having to react in a moment of a preventable crisis that has impacted the safety and well-being of our students, staff, and KMS administrators.
So just in closing of all the teachers that you just heard from, that was 12 of our staff members that decided to wanted to come up here and share everything with you. We have close to 70 staff members. Those 12 teachers, they just summed up everything as best they could for all of those teachers for you, to make it as succinct and straightforward as we can, to paint you a picture of what it is that we're dealing with and the solutions really that we seek to help our students and to make Kickapoo Middle School the best place that it can be for all students. I thank you for listening, and I look forward to working together with you towards our next steps, towards solutions. Thank you.
So before I ask for a motion to go into executive session so that we can address these issues together, I would just like to thank each and every one of you who got up to speak. Your statements were obviously heartfelt and child-based and focused, and I look forward, and I know the board does, to coming to the table to work on some solutions with all of you. I would also ask that if you would provide Karen Del Tato, our secretary, at the end of the table with your statements so that those could be on the record, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
I would appreciate a motion, this is my motion to go into executive session.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?